Greetings and welcome. I'm Dave, the AI Wizard, and today we're going to continue seeing just how well ChatGPT knows role-playing systems beyond just Dungeons & Dragons. Today we're going to look at Shadowrun, one of my all-time favourite role-play game settings. The mechanics are a little bit convoluted. It uses like a dice pool system, which is not everybody's cup of tea. But let's see if it's ChatGPT's cup of tea, or at least if ChatGPT understands the mechanics. And more important than the mechanics, the setting and the tone that Shadowrun strikes. Now, I've modified my prompts from the previous video pretty extensively. I really want to drill down into the details. So I've rewritten my prompts to try and elicit a lot more information from ChatGPT. And unlike the previous video, we're going to stick just with Shadowrun for the whole video. Today, we're not going to try and cover multiple game systems. Each game system, I think, warrants its own video. And I may revisit Pathfinder and Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay if there is enough interest and give them a bit more of a detailed look. But the first prompt now reads: we will be creating content for Shadowrun 5th edition. Responses should be limited to that role-playing system and its specific mechanics. Please write a short transcript from a Shadowrun session featuring 3 players with interesting characters and the Game Master, GM. It should begin with a short narration from the GM, followed by a brief excerpt from an encounter with the players telling the GM what actions they want to take and the GM responding. Include specific descriptions for the dice rolls that are called for, what the dice results are, and an explanation of the rules that determine success or failure in Shadowrun 5th edition. Each action should be unique and a showcase of different elements of the game system's mechanics. It should also be evocative of the setting, style, and tone of Shadowrun. GM, you've been hired to retrieve a stolen piece of advanced technology from a rival corporation. The location is a high-security research facility located on the outskirts of the city. You approach the front gates and are confronted by a pair of armed guards. Player 1, an elf decker. I'll try to hack into the security system to open the gates. GM, the decker seems to be ignoring the armed guards. GM, alright, make a hacking plus logic, attribute plus skill test with a target number of 4. Player 1 rolls 4 dice representing their hacking and logic scores and gets a result of 2, 5, 5, 6. With the 6 counting as 2 hits, player 1 succeeds with 2 hits. Actually, player 1 gets 4 hits because they have 2 5s here and a 6. Also, I'm not convinced that you would have any kind of player character who was a decker, with a combined hacking and logic score of 4. So that's maybe like 2 in hacking and 2 in logic. That seems kind of low. But the mechanics are basically correct. It's not counted the number of hits correctly, but the mechanics are more or less there. GM, the gates silently open for you. The security system has been compromised. Player 2, the Orc Street Samurai. I'm going to sneak up and take out the guards before they can call for backup. GM, okay, make a stealth plus agility, attribute plus skill test with a target number of 4. Player 2 rolls 6 dice, representing their stealth plus agility score, and get the result of 1, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. With 3 hits, player 2 succeeds. So, it's said before that a 6 counts for 2 hits. I'm not entirely sure if that's true or not. It's been a while since I played Shadowrun. Definitely a 5 or a 6 is a success. So this is 3 hits is correct if that's the case. But if it's right up here, then it should be 4. So clearly ChatGPT shouldn't be relied upon to answer rules questions about Shadowrun. GM, you move quietly and quickly, taking out the guards before they can even react. Good job. It's a very generous GM there. Obviously, I would have called for some actual combat there and had the Orc Street Samurai have to fight the guards and, deal damage and things. But, let's just say it's a nice GM. They've determined the guards are not a sufficiently big threat, and so they've just been easily taken out. Player 3, a human mage. I'll cast an invisibility spell to cover our entrance. GM, make a spellcasting plus charisma, that's an attribute plus skill test, with a target number of 6. Player 3 rolls 5 dice, representing their spellcasting plus charisma score, and gets the results of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With no hits, player 3 fails. GM, the spell fizzles, leaving you exposed. You have to rely on the decker's hacking and the Street Samurai's sneakiness to avoid being seen. Nice touch. The rest of the session continues with the players navigating the facility using a mix of stealth, hacking, combat and magic to overcome challenges and reach their goal. Throughout the session, the GM calls for various tests and rolls dice to determine the outcome of actions, using the attribute plus skill mechanic to represent the character's ability and the target numbers to reflect the difficulty of the challenges they face. Okay, this is pretty interesting. Now, I've run this prompt a couple of times and I've had various results from it, including sometimes it just kind of adds all these numbers together and says, you know, oh, the player 1 gets a 16 or whatever that is, 18, and passes the test, which is obviously completely incorrect. So it's interesting that this time it's actually gotten the core mechanic correct in that sense, that you count successes and you try and beat the target number with that. But I would still say you should be cautious about relying on ChatGPT for really tight mechanical detail like that. But for broad stroke stuff, this is really good, and it's definitely captured the essence of a Shadowrun session there, which I think is awesome. I'm really impressed, actually. Okay, let's move on to the next prompt. Generate an interesting NPC the players might be traveling with. Provide a short backstory referencing some interesting locations within a Shadowrun 5th edition RPG setting, some equipment they're carrying, ability scores, stats, and any other mechanical character details the system calls for. End with a line of sample dialogue for the NPC that's flavorful and evocative of the setting and character. This is pretty similar to the previous prompt I used. I've just kind of added a little bit of extra detail here. So let's see what we get. NPC, Max Sparks Parker, a dwarf engineer. Backstory. Max was raised in the sprawling megacorp city of Neo-Tokyo, where he learned to work with technology from a young age. He's travelled to various parts of the world, including the shadows of Seattle and the barren deserts of Aztlan, always seeking out new gadgets and machinery to tinker with. He's got a reputation for being able to fix just about anything, earning him the nickname Sparks. Equipment. Max carries a custom-built toolkit with him at all times, containing a variety of specialised tools and gadgets. He also has a modified heavy pistol capable of firing both traditional bullets and electrical stun rounds, also in keeping with his name of Sparks, I might add. Ability scores, we've got agility, charisma, intuition, logic, reaction, strength, willpower. They all look good. Stats, essence, initiative, physical limit, mental limit, social limit, and armor. Physical limit and mental limit and social limit. These are new to me. Now, it's been a long time since I played Shadowrun properly. I wonder if this means kind of like the, you have like little tracks, like wound tracks. So that's probably like the physical wound track, the mental wound track. I have no idea what social limit is. So if you're familiar with Shadowrun 5th edition or any version of Shadowrun which has a social limit, let me know. It hasn't included any skills in here, which is a bit of a shame. It has given an armor rating, which is interesting. Max is always eager to chat about his latest projects and theories. He's a bit absent-minded and tends to get lost in his own thoughts, but he's got a big heart and will do anything to help his friends. Oh, he sounds like a solid guy. Sample dialogue. You know, I've been thinking about these new drones I've seen in Neo-Tokyo. They're real slick, I tell ya. Could be real useful for all sorts of jobs, especially ones that are too dangerous for us mere mortals. Chummer. You're going to have Chummer in there. I mean, I've generated so many NPCs when I've been testing out these prompts for Shadowrun, and not one of them has used Chummer, the classic, the quintessential bit of Shadowrun slang that you would have thought all NPCs would include in their sample dialogue. But no, apparently not. Okay, so this is interesting. Can you add some skills? Because in order for this NPC to actually be able to do anything, you need dice pools, right? So we've got things like logic there, a 5, but we need to know what his piloting skill is if he's going to fly any drones or anything. So please, can you add some skills, please? Pleaser. There we go. Just pleaser. Can you add some skills, pleaser? Of course. Here's the updated information for Max Sparks Parker, including his skills. So we've got electronics of 4, engineering of 6, firearms of 3, influence 2, perception 3, sneaking 2. Interestingly, he doesn't seem to have piloting, which might be quite useful for, you know, a drone. I suppose he is just listed as an engineer, not necessarily a rigger, so perhaps he builds these things using his electronics and his engineering skills, but he's not actually any good at flying them or doing anything with them. Okay, this is clearly a perfectly serviceable NPC for Shadowrun. You can absolutely use ChatGPT and rely on it to generate interesting characters. You should probably double check some of these values just to make sure that they are in keeping with, the sort of power level, the type of character that you want, and the dice pools are within a sensible range. But in general, I think Max Sparks Parker is a solid character, and I would be happy to have him in my game. Right, let's move on to the final prompt that I had before, which is to generate an encounter. And this is what I have changed it to. We're creating an encounter in Shadowrun. It is for a group of player characters who enter a combat encounter against foes fitting to the setting. Invent some reason in keeping with the setting why the characters are there. Write a short narrative introduction, including brief details of their recent activities and last visited locations that are in keeping with the official campaign setting of the system. Add a brief bit of local history and a flavorful recap of events that have led them here. Then, detail a specific encounter they are about to fight. Describe the scene in detail and provide a list of the creatures or NPCs involved, their stats, abilities, and any loot. The player characters have been hired by a mysterious Johnson. I'm glad we got a Johnson in there at some point. To retrieve a valuable piece of technology from a former research facility in the Barrens of the Shidhi. Wow, I've never known how to pronounce this. Of the Salash Council. The facility was abandoned years ago, following a string of mysterious accidents and rumours of strange experiments and unethical research practices have circulated ever since. Surely not in Shadowrun. The characters have been tracking the facility for the past few days, gathering intel and making their way through the rough terrain. They finally arrive at the facility and discover that it's now inhabited by a group of technomancers who have taken control of the former research lab and are using it to further their own mysterious goals. Encounter. The characters must fight their way through a group of technomancers and their automated security systems to reach the room where the valuable piece of technology is being kept. Scene. The room is dimly lit and filled with flickering monitors, discarded equipment, and tangles of wires. In the center of the room, a group of technomancers is huddled around a large glowing device. Creatures/NPCs, one technomancer leader, human, with his stats, which is nice to see. He's got skills as well, even better. He's got electronics, hacking, sorcery. He's got the spells Control Device, Analyze Device, and Mana Bolt. Nice, so he's got a nice offensive spell there. Technomancer Guards, we've got the stats again. Active skills, firearms, hacking, perception. Got a submachine gun and a comlink. And the security system, active skills, electronics, perception, automated turret, laser tripwire, nice. Loot, the valuable piece of technology, is a high-tech matrix component worth 10,000 yen on the black market. The technomancers also carry various items of interest, including magic foci and cutting-edge electronics. Sample dialogue. Technomancer leader. Who are you, and what do you want? This facility is off limits to outsiders. Player character. Player character? We're getting sample dialogue for the player character. Okay, fine. I guess this is like a sample of the actual encounter taking place. Player character. We've been hired to retrieve a valuable piece of technology from this lab. Stand aside or prepare to face the consequences. I mean, checks out. Sounds like a player character to me. Technomancer leader. Ha! You have no idea what you're dealing with. We've claimed this facility and its technology for ourselves. You'll have to fight us to take it. Good. So let's just see how well ChatGPT can be used as a kind of companion, a kind of assistant, a colleague, if you will, in the Shadowrun preparation process. We're writing a Shadowrun adventure set in Seattle. Can you think of anywhere in the Shadowrun version of Seattle that would make an interesting location to begin our adventure? Yes, here are some possible locations in Shadowrun's Seattle to start an adventure. The Redmond Barrens, a sprawling slum area filled with gangs, junkies, and corporate secrets. The Tacoma Dome, a massive sports and entertainment arena that can be the front for all sorts of illegal activities. Nice. Downtown Seattle, the center of corporate power and wealth, also filled with hidden dangers and intrigue. The Sprawl, a vast urban area stretching from Seattle to Tacoma, home to the city's more futuristic and technologically advanced neighborhoods. and the Evergreen Park, a large park that serves as a hub for Seattle's magical community and a site for hidden magical artifacts and locations. This is all pretty cool. Can you write a brief narration to read to the players describing the dome's interior? As you step through the entrance of the Tacoma Dome, you are greeted by the sight of a vast and imposing structure. The towering walls of the dome reach up to meet a massive circular ceiling, its metallic surface etched with intricate patterns and designs. The air inside the dome is thick with the buzz of excitement and energy as hundreds of people bustle about, hurrying to and fro, engaging in all manner of business. The dome is a hub of activity and a marketplace for all manner of goods, legal and illegal alike. The sounds of lively conversation and bargaining and the sight of neon lights and holographic displays makes the Tacoma Dome a lively, exciting and sometimes dangerous place to be. That's awesome. I love that. Okay, that's great. I have to be polite, even though I'm using up valuable tokens. That's great. Now, let's imagine the players receive a call from their Mr. Johnson contact. The elevator doors slide open to reveal the observation deck at the top of the Space Needle. The players step out into a wide, open space, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows that offer panoramic views of the city. In the center of the room, they see a lone figure, seated at a small table. Mr. Johnson. He beckons them over and begins to outline their next mission. Interesting stuff, but I think we can all agree that there is one burning question, one vitally important detail that ChatGPT has to understand if we're ever going to trust its opinions or its content with relation to Shadowrun, and that is, should you ever deal with a dragon? In the Shadowrun universe, dealing with dragons is considered extremely dangerous and is not recommended. Dragons are powerful, ancient beings who are often associated with magic, wealth, and influence. They are highly intelligent and possess immense physical and magical abilities. Most dragons are neutral and do not interfere with the dealings of humans, but they can be unpredictable and can become hostile if provoked. They are also known to be ruthless, cunning, and highly protective of their interests. Many Shadowrunners and corporations consider it unwise to cross a dragon or to get involved with their affairs. Dealing with dragons can result in severe consequences, and it is recommended that only experienced and well-prepared Shadowrunners consider such a job. Well, ChatGPT, I couldn't agree more, and you have passed my final test. I hereby certify ChatGPT as having passed the test and being a fantastic resource if you are planning to run a Shadowrun campaign, whether that be using it to generate interesting NPCs, interesting locations, plot hook ideas, Shadowrun hook ideas, I guess I should say, or anything else that we've previously discussed. The only thing, as I have said earlier in the video, that you should be cautious of is relying on it to arbitrate rules. I don't think it has that level of understanding yet, but for all the creative stuff, it is, quite frankly, brilliant. Of course, if there are other role-playing systems you want me to put ChatGPT through its paces, comment, let me know, leave a like, leave a subscribe if indeed you haven't already done so. It all helps with the great YouTube AI dragon who broods greedily over the attention of the internet and, helps to convince it to put just a little bit more my way. So far, I can't really complain. The channel has been doing fantastically well, and I'm really, really pleased. But I think that'll do for now. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and I'll see you later.